guess who had set up everything for the video and already sat to film when she realized that her mic was actually out of charge, which was obvious because I hadn't used this mic for a couple of weeks because I was away and I had filmed everything in advance. Okay, whatever. I wanted to start with a poem. It is a poem written by Sylvia Plath when she was still at school. You ask me why I spend my life writing. Do I find entertainment? Is it worthwhile? Above all, does it pay? If not, then is there a reason? I write only because there is a voice within me that will not be still. She's a genius. She's a genius. She was wonderful. Oh, why she didn't live longer. Moin moin, dear people, old, new, my friends, the friends of my friends, my relatives, and anyone in the world who found this channel and who thought that the topics I'm talking about might be interesting for them. My name is Anna of Northern Germany, originally from Russia, a survivor, a fighter, a writer, and on this channel I talk about writing because I'm an aspiring author, about mental health awareness because I was diagnosed with chronic depression some time ago, about books, especially English literature because it's my passion, about politics sometimes because I am an exiled Russian. I hate Vladimir Putin and I was a Navalny's follower and I would be still, but unfortunately he died and his former colleagues are performing weird stuff these days, so it's a bit of a cringe calling oneself a Navalny's follower these days, but okay, let's not talk about that. And generally I talk about all this together and I'm having fun on this channel. In my life I work at a school for kids with special needs. I organize the afternoon care for these children and my job is very, 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 very stressful. Yes, I think you can believe me. I also have 2 videos while I was still doing holiday job for the same place where I work permanently now, and you can also watch these 2 videos. And generally, I am trying to navigate my life from the perspective of being a person who is unfortunately not super stable mentally. And I also have various videos of me, I don't know, talking about my depression. It's an ancient video, you can also watch it, or about me trying to learn how to rest because I have an issue with that. And generally, this fact that I was diagnosed with depression some time ago, and of course it's not something that you can treat fully because my depression was chronic, it hadn't been diagnosed for a while, and it's just a part of me. I cannot get rid of it completely. I can only learn to live with it, and I have a tendency to despair. And here I sit on my channel and I smile at you and joke in a stupid way and generally seem fine. At least I want to believe, but I'm not always fine. I hope you're doing better than me. I also on Friday I finally put an end with the job center because I live in Germany. I got some help from the job center. Up until recently there was like a small sum of money that they still sent to me and I should have ended it that earlier, but I had to pay them over 1,500 euro of debt. To the question why I still haven't bought a camera. Yeah, but otherwise I have recently returned from my maximum budget trip to Sevilla, in which I visited my friend, and unfortunately there won't be a vlog, but I still want to make a video to tell you the story. And today, again, sorry for you having to get through this long introduction. I want to talk about my mental health again, and generally about the writing routine, because I'm an aspiring author and my writing routine by now is pretty much dead. It had never happened before, and here we go again. No, well, actually, I used to have a writing routine during the times when I hadn't been allowed to work. And of course, my creative activities were easier kind of to arrange around that fact. Then I started to do the integration course. I began to work slowly, bit by bit. And in September, or to be precise, in October, I started to work permanently. Permanently sounds horrible, but okay. I got a job. And the fact about a job is that you have a job, it's a trouble. You have no job, it's even more of a drama. So I'm happy to have an income, but also I cannot say that I dedicated a lot of time to writing lately, and it was because of the two reasons. I'm too self-demanding, and I was exhausted. I was exhausted mainly because of the first reason, of course, and also because of my work, because also I don't speak a lot about my job on my channel, but unfortunately, and it's not even about the kids. Sometimes you would imagine that in the job that I do, dealing with kids with special needs would be the most challenging thing, but no, it's actually adults, because sometimes I really feel like adults really need a kindergarten. The manipulations they use, the ways they interact with each other, how they cannot really come to an agreement, how they need an extra, an outsource of some kind that would solve their problems for them. It's just incredible, yeah. But I still want to be an author. And for me to be an author, I have to come to terms with the fact that I earn my living in a different area, and earning money from writing is extremely difficult. I write sometimes on Medium. Of course, I don't get anything from that. I have a novel kind of finished, but if you are in this area in writing, you know that a novel finished, it's a very abstract thing to say, because currently my novel is being read by a couple of my friends, not finished yet. I won't say that I would want my friends to read it faster. I just don't want to be a demanding bitch. They do it as they can. Sometimes I feel like offended in a very childish way that, is it so unimportant for you that you cannot read it faster? But it's silly. Okay. Also, I'm currently working on my second novel that I had started sometime after I was deep into my first novel, and this is a political novel, and it's a very dear piece of writing for me. And for that, I need, not only do I need the time, I also need the mental space to write. Well, obvious. The literary world is sadly very privileged. So previously, writing used to be a privilege for rich men, especially in Russia, who were stable money-wise, and they were lords, and they had this possibility, they had this time and space, and also their household was maintained by, I don't know, slaves, by servants, by their woman, and also part of their writing work was also done by their woman. I'm referring to my Tolstoy's writing routine, and also I'd love to do Nabokov's writing routine one day, which is going to be like also quite similar. And those people didn't have to think much on these people didn't have to think too much about earning a living, where they're going to sleep tonight, what they're going to eat, if they're going to have enough money to be able to feed their dog, for example. They didn't have to think about that. And later we gained another type of authors to whom I personally feel closer. Those are the ones who went to work and at the side they did writing. And Stephen King did that at the very beginning. Octavia Butler, I really love Christie and Jones's writing routine done of Octavia Butler. I didn't read her books, I don't really like science fiction, but I am fascinated how she was writing in the night and then she got up early even to do her shifts. Or, for example, Friedrich Bachmann. This is the person who wrote Anxious People, or also the person who wrote my grandmother's sending her greetings and saying that she's sorry. So Friedrich Bachmann, he also did a night job for him to be able to write during the day. And for you to sustain such a lifestyle, well, it demands a lot of mental energy, physical energy, a lot of optimism, a lot of something that I don't have, unfortunately, because, you know, there is this metaphor of forks in the glass. So some people have more forks in this glass, and these forks are the metaphor for the energy that you already have at the beginning of the day. And some people have lots of those, and some people have only 3. And they have to think wisely on how they are going to spend their forks. And this is my situation with these forks in the glass. It's not that I have like too few, I have a bit more, because fortunately I'm in a remission and I'm in therapy and I'm trying to help myself. But at the same time, I still don't have as many as people of my age would have, who had never experienced depression, chronic anxiety, and other pleasant stuff. So I have to take this into consideration. I had also mentioned that in my previous video. The problem is also that for people like me who are nervous all the time, let's put it that way, it's hard to seek inspiration in famous people's writing routines, because I was doing a research recently of people who had this or that mental disorder and who were also into writing, so to say. And many of them, let's say Virginia Woolf themselves. So Virginia Woolf ended her life willingly. So in the future, let's say they Virginia Woolf themselves. And for example, Virginia Woolf herself, obviously. Sylvia Plath also did. Let's say hi to this book, which was her post-mortem book. Charlotte Perkins Gilman also Virginia Woolf herself. But to be fair, she's the author of the Yellow Wallpaper. To be fair, she went through the postpartum depression, and after, in the end of her life, she Virginia Woolfed herself, mostly because she was really ill, breast cancer, if I'm not mistaken, and she believed in the free choice of people. Yeah. David Foster Wallace, also Virginia Woolf himself. So, and when I look at these wonderful writing routines, I understand that it's not something that I'm capable of doing, unfortunately. Doing it, like working the day and writing in the night, I will Virginia Woolf myself sooner than you would imagine that, yeah? Because also other authors, if they didn't Virginia Woolf themselves, they also had an experience of thinking or even trying to do that. You know, I also had an experience of thinking of Virginia Woolf myself. And for example, Matt Haig also almost attempted to Virginia Woolf himself. But his routine is not super suitable for me because I think he is quite a privileged guy. I don't want to say anything, but I think according to the books that I read, and there are also some non-fictional books in which he recommends a person to just shut the door behind and never to be back at the job that you hate. Yeah, as I had always said, I respect Matt Haig, but this is not something that everyone can do. Yeah, especially if a job center wants them to pay €1,500 over then that sum of money. Okay, that's my pay. So I decided that I need my own writing routine that would not drive me crazy and would not make me feel overwhelmed. And while thinking about that, I faced two major problems. And the first major problem is that my best writing time is from 10 a.m. to 16 p.m. or 17 p.m. After 17 p.m., I'm not really a functional member of the society, I would say. Because I'm an early bird, of course not a crazy early bird who gets up at 4 or 5, but 7, I would say, like normal time for me to wake up and to spend some time in bed and then to get up. And generally maybe closer to 8. Before 7, I don't exist. My brain doesn't function. But as you can understand, at this very time, I'm here. But there is a solution to this problem. You can hate me for this, but as almost every anxious person, I tolerate stillness very badly, and I always need to do something. And office work is like this. Sometimes you have prolonged period of stillness, sometimes you are overwhelmed with work, and I hate wasting time, and if I can spend this time writing, I'll do that. The second problem, I am also a person who has to put a lot of effort into the very first draft, because there are some authors who write the first draft, and the first draft is just, has nothing to do with the final version. They write, I don't know, some hints or some base, and then they are capable of turning it upside down completely. I cannot do that. For me, it's important to write the quality first draft, because I will be relying on it, and I will be relying on it a lot, likely. And that's also a problem, because a haphazard routine that I had kind of established for the past months it's not really great for that because, of course, I feel overwhelmed eventually when I try to force myself to write, I don't know, 1 hour before my work and then several hours after my work when my brain is already boiling. And as a result, the quality is not really high, definitely not as high as I would have wanted it to be. And I plunge into despair. And then also I start having big gaps between extracts of texts. And yeah, as you can understand, it is not too helpful for the person who needs to have the first draft as clean as possible. And to solve these two problems, I figured a rule for myself. This is rule number 1. And this rule says it's better something than nothing. Good morning. Today on offer, the tea with sea buckthorn, the black tea. I have another one, and they're both amazing. And I brought them from Zult. I have a vlog from Zult. You are very welcome to watch it. I'm very privileged to have a day off today because Jesus has done something again. And it's Monday. And to have a day off on Monday, it's wonderful. Especially when you went through the crisis on Friday night and you were dying the whole Saturday. Yeah, I didn't have much time for myself. And yesterday I did the whole cleaning, so I'm free to do whatever right now. And I feel anxious slightly, and I feel a bit of pressure in my body. I already did yoga and the meditation to get rid of that. I hope it will help. And I will publish a couple of TikToks or schedule to publish. I am scheduling to publish a story how I traveled to Seville on budget. Listen to it. And I will also show the souvenirs from Seville, like this mug. Maybe I'll also make a video for YouTube, but it will be later. Yeah, the plan for today to do these TikToks, and then I will dedicate the time to writing, but in a very, 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 very gentle manner. I decided to show an example of my writing routine on the day off, although it's far from typical for me to write every 3 seconds, unfortunately, and I always shame myself for that because it feels like many great authors gave everything to write, to finish their books, to publish their books, and feels like I don't do enough, and I don't want to feel like that. I want to enjoy. I just don't want to forget why I'm doing this, and I'm doing this because I had always enjoyed writing. Even when I was very young, I never imagined, never dreamt of becoming an author because it just felt like something unrealistic. But I was dreaming that one day I write at least one book, and right now I kind of finished one and working on the second one, on my political novel. And the new routine that I figured, I usually start to write in my notebook, just a bit of creative writing, of writing down the thoughts, and it usually takes me like 15 minutes before I pass over to my novel, and then I start tapping and tapping and tapping, and usually I follow the flow. But don't don't be mistaken, I don't do that for hours and hours. For example, in this very session I typed 675 words. It's not 1,000, it's far from Stephen King's 6 pages per session, but it's something that I would be able to do not to feel overwhelmed. But I wrote 675 words. I enjoyed myself. I made a progress. I stayed consistent. My story is going. It's the political story about a man wronged by his country and who is probably planning something very unpleasant for the leader of the country. The second rule here would be carrying everything that I needed for writing, like my journal, my notebook, my laptop, to carry everything along with me. And my job is tense, but there are some periods of time when there is not much to do and I just sit and stare. And this is the time when my brain is still functioning. I can use this time for writing. Monday was off. On Tuesday, I forgot to charge my laptop, but finally on Wednesday, I got a chance to show you how these writing sessions look like, the ones that I do at work when I have a free minute or a free period. And you must understand that, of course, an authentic author, a full-time author, wouldn't call those sessions productive or any near to productivity, because as you can see, I am distracted from typing. I also might stop to do my main job, and that's quite normal. And of course, we all know the difference between the profound sleep, for example, and the less deep sleep. But at the same time, I believe that it's better than nothing, and I don't waste this time. And the result of this session was 197 words. And yeah, you might say it's nothing, you need to reread it because the quality is slightly lower, but I'm satisfied. Still, my brain works the best at this time. Another rule, the third rule, less but regular. That means that I better not write, 6,000 words. I better write, 100, and tomorrow another 100. And like this, I am still moving forward. And like this, I am still progressing. And it also solves another problem with my writing. And another problem with my writing is my anxiety. I'm anxious, and I'm also a perfectionist, and I always expect the high performance, the super performance from myself. And when you expect super performance from every step of your life, I can assure you that everything that you love might turn in everything that you hate. And you wouldn't want to approach a notebook or a laptop because it's already associated with stress. And your brain, or at least my brain, is extremely talented if we speak about avoiding discomfort. Yeah. So this is how I am planning to trick my brain. I had various strategies throughout my whole life how to trick my brain, but they don't work anymore. That's why I have to be gentle. I don't like being gentle with myself, but I have to. And it's also the thing about, for example, for me, writing after work. You might say to yourself, like when you are getting things together to go home or on the bus, for example, like me, and you are going to say to yourself, I am going to write for 3 hours after I come home. And okay, right, you have this time. And especially if you have some leftovers of the dinner from yesterday, you don't have to commit to cooking dinner, especially today. Yeah, you have this time. Nothing restricts you. You don't have kids, for instance. But at the same time, you're already overwhelmed. You are so tired. And you come home And this is where your brain sabotages everything, because procrastinations enters the scene because you are tired. You just don't acknowledge that. And if you don't acknowledge that, it doesn't mean that it is not there. I mean, the exhaustion. Okay, we figured that for me, writing during the day, a bit in the gaps between my work, is the best way for me to commit to my writing. Yeah, if I have the mental space, if I have the energy, I can still write before or after, but I shouldn't force myself, because the chances are that I will end up with a tremendous headache by the end of the day. Wonderful. My life is wonderful sometimes. But okay, it's fine. And another problem that I also figured for myself is that my posture is horrible. Well, I had known that. But what I often do, I sit down on the couch and I start writing, and eventually my body starts, crawling down. So I start losing the posture. I start losing my straight back, and also this is how my neck gets the hypertension, and it's also one of the reasons why eventually I get headaches. And generally, it's not pleasant. You can feel it after. You will be tired, your neck will be sore, your back will be even worse. And so what I had figured, I should prioritize sitting at the table. Obviously, although I'm not a table writer at all. I don't have a writer's desk. My flat is tiny. I don't have space for that. But I think it is doable because it's important for my posture. Actually, I remember Nabokov because I had been reading his essays recently. And when he was young, he was writing while lying in his bed. And I had been thinking that it looks impossible to me. But then when he got older, he began writing standing. And it's very interesting because I used to have a video, like a YouTube short, about the best posture for reading, which appeared to be standing. It's very funny. Also, what I figured, it's not only about the posture, of course, posture is important, but it's also about me being closed in the same environment, because I start feeling stuck. And it also progresses the despair, and taking myself out would be a solution. And now the weather is good, so I think it would be also nice to take myself out, if not once a week, at least once in 2 weeks, and to go to try to write somewhere else. Okay, the library, obviously, but maybe I can also try to write in the park. Of course, I won't be able to sit at the table there, but I don't have to write for long, but it's just for me to change the scene. And also, the great news, for me at least, Shut Up and Write is back. If you watched my older videos, you know that last summer I discovered the writing group Shut Up and Write. That was a socializing activity for me, but also it helped me to be around creative people, and it also motivates you to carry on with your writing. And the group was dead for several months because we were kicked out of the library because they didn't want big groups anymore, and we were 10. And with the new place, with the new times, many people couldn't make it, including me. And now the group is restarting, and the fact is that it's quite challenging for me to get there, so probably not every week, but basically I need to travel to my town, then to Hamburg. Fortunately, the train line that was closed now the trains are back. It feels so very nice, as if you're taking the rocket to Hamburg from the town where I live. And I'm very happy that Shut Up and Write is back, although now we are working in the cafe and the disadvantages are noise, people, music, and I don't feel like we have the right to complain, because we don't bring a lot of benefit for them, and we also don't have tables, but basically this group is everything that they have as socializing right now, so I'd love to continue attending it. I don't remember. I think I mentioned that on YouTube. Definitely mentioned it on TikTok. Our group, Shut Up and Write, which I attended like from last summer. I also have a vlog, or even a couple of Shut Up and Write being involved in the scenes. But at some point we were kicked out of the library, and we didn't have another writing space, and this is how we just stopped being able to. Many of us also were working at the times when we were allowed to be in the place that we had not rented, but with the place that we agreed with. Also, the time didn't work well for all of us. And then the group died out, but fortunately, thanks to the enthusiasts, we are restarting our gatherings, and this is also amazing. I am very happy, because I also suspect that the absence of Shut Up and Write in my life impacted my writing routine, because like when you go to a writing group, it's also like you support each other, and this is how you propel in your writing. And then the group was just no more, and that was a big chunk of sadness in my life. Yeah, this is what I had wanted to say. I think it's like a haphazard video with chunks of vlogging, so I hope you enjoyed that. Also, if you feel like writing something in the comments, you're more than welcome, because some people think that it's not important, but everything that you say is important, and also helps the channel out in this rivalry. I hate that it is a rivalry. Like I just want to create my content, and I want it to be spread naturally. But yeah, so if you feel like writing comments, push the like button, share your opinion if you also suffered or suffer from mental disorder, and if you're a creative person, how you go around this mental disorder, because I can imagine that it's challenging. And if you're interested, I have other social media. I have TikTok, I have Medium. With my articles, I write there when I have time and space. And I also have my Instagram, and I also have Buy Me a Coffee if you want to support me with a small donation. And I hope that you are doing fine, that the weather is acceptable, because yesterday in my place it was so hot, so stuffy, I was dying. Fortunately, today it cooled down. I'm so happy about it, and I hope it will stay like this, because summer is coming. I'm not the biggest fan of summer and heat. I tolerate heat very poorly. So if it's coming, I hope at least it will delay. And thank you very much for watching. I will be wishing you love, and peace from Anna of Northern Germany. Have everything, have an amazing day, night, afternoon, whatever you're having, and hopefully to see you in the next videos. And choose